The lake should have kept Meredith Ridley dead. Instead, she crawled out, hungry and changed, with a knife still buried in her heart. Because in Strickfield, murder doesn't always end a love triangle. Sometimes it just makes everyone even more hungry.
What's that? You want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Hello, my spookies. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for a little spooky in your weekly. I'm your host and narrator, Enrique Couto, and tonight's story is all about love, death, and hunger. But the order might surprise you. But before we get to that, I just want to say thank you all for joining me. As you know, this is the time of year when the true blue spookies are listening. Because Halloween is a state of mind, not just a time of year. And I want to let you guys know that next week, right here on Wednesday, we're celebrating with episode 400 of Weekly Spooky, which blows my mind, if I'm honest. The 400th scary story ever shared with all you spookies, written by yours truly, with a very special guest star you may know from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, as well as Feast, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and From Dusk Till Dawn, Texas Blood Money. You're not going to want to miss this, so make sure you're subscribed, because it's a very daunting final broadcast coming your way. I really am excited. It's one of the creepiest things I've ever written, and I know it's going to give you the chills you come here for. But now, as for tonight's story, what if the weird girl at school really was as dangerous as everyone whispered? What if the jealous girlfriend, the cheating boyfriend, and the wild new girl all ended up somewhere dark, wet, and forgotten? And what if the lake where secrets sink had something inside it? Something that didn't let the dead stay that way. Tonight's tale takes us back to Strickfield High, where love is messy, revenge is brutal, and the undead have very complicated dating lives. So, get cozy, my spookies. We're about to dive in. Undead Triangle by Rob Fields. Present. You wake up to find yourself secured to the top of an old beater and the flat, smooth surface that is a car crusher lowering down on you. "Just die, you bitch!" Lita Hallaway yells. You don't have much time before you become permanently part of a car queue. But how did you exactly get yourself into such a predicament? 2 days ago. You'd only been at Strickfield High for 2 weeks. However, you were one very wild girl who stuck out with your spiky, bright violet hair. You wore your pink leather jacket over tank tops, bearing the names of obscure bands that seemingly only you knew. The Rotten Pumpkins, Raging Bitches, and even Donna's Dead. It was only a matter of time before Dolan Mirren and his entourage approached you. Lita Hallaway was Dolan's arm candy. Meredith Ridley, right?" she asked. You smiled sweetly, but didn't answer as the guys looked you over. It was quite obvious you didn't wear bras under your tank tops. "Why are you so fucked up?" Lita demanded. Still, you didn't answer, just kept on smiling. Lita told the others, "She never says shit in class. The teachers don't even call on her." She turned back to you. "Say something." Out of nowhere, you surprised a guy eyeing your chest by snatching his plastic can of smokeless tobacco from his upper jacket pocket. You opened it and sniffed the wintergreen scent. Then you got a chorus from the group when you removed what was left inside and shoved it all in your mouth. When Principal Matthew Van Diest entered the cafeteria, Lita quickly motioned for him to come over. Upon arriving, Lita pointed at you and told him you were violating the tobacco policy. The principal saw the empty can in your hand and pointed to the trash. "Spit that out, Meredith." But you opened your mouth to reveal nothing, except tiny bits of what was left. "Ew, she actually ate it," Lita groaned. "Gross." Even the principal couldn't believe it. Just the same. "Office, Meredith. Now." You raised your finger as you breathed fast. Then, Lita gagged when you regurgitated on her. When you finished, you smiled again. Then, you finished by wiping your mouth on a napkin lying on a nearby table. You didn't even fight Principal Van Diest when he snatched your arm and began escorting you to the office. When you passed some jocks howling with laughter, one of them called out, "I can't believe you did that! You're so cool!" Van Diest told him to be quiet and kept walking to the office. Before you were through the doors, one of the jocks said that Lita heard rumors about some bitch fucking Dolan. You started laughing. Van Diest didn't let go of your arm until he placed you in a chair in front of his desk. Then he took his seat. "You mind telling me what your problem is?" he asked. You flashed your beautiful smile, then your breasts. "God, I'm so horny. Wanna fuck me?" Van Diest quickly wrote up your expulsion papers. In fact, you smiled for the crowds as they watched you getting escorted to the main doors, but not before you saw Lita Hallaway. She pointed at you and mouthed, "You're dead, bitch." That night, it was late as you left the Pit, a new club that recently opened near where the biker community lived. You immersed yourself in a band called Smothered Hope. Suddenly, you burst out in a fit of laughter. Taking drugs over the years caused that, and tonight, you did so many drugs, it was a wonder you were even still alive. And then that bartender kept giving you free drinks for flashing him your goods. You were carefree or just didn't care. You partied to excellent music, got fucked up, and didn't have to return to school in the morning. You were still high and drunk, but you walked the side of the road just fine. You wanted to get back to your little hole-in-the-wall in the biker community and finish your high until you finally fell asleep. Before long, this flashy sports car slowed down and pulled up right beside you. You could just make out Lita Hallaway driving. Lita got out of the car and looked you over. You were still wearing the same leather jacket, but you had a tighter tank top on that hugged your perfect body. You were even wearing leather shorts that left very little to the imagination. "I told you you're dead, bitch," Lita snapped. "One, you puked on me. Also, I know you're the slut Dolan's been dipping his wick into." Again, you flashed your beautiful smile. Then you started laughing uncontrollably. It was clear to Lita you were quite out of your gourd. You couldn't stop laughing when you fell on your behind. "I saw a cop on the way here," Lita said. "Let's get you out of here before he decides to come this way." Lita comes and gets you back on your feet before stuffing you into her car. Or, at least, she tried to. You had a laughing fit, making it hard for her to seat you, and the police car was fast approaching. Fortunately, that police car passed you by. When your laughing fit was over, you saw you were riding shotgun in somebody's car. In your drug-induced state, you also saw plenty of other things Lita couldn't. Just the same, you could hear her talk. "We're gonna go somewhere special, Meredith," Lita purred. "Somewhere we can be alone." You looked at Lita all happy now. "All alone? You mean we're gonna fuck?" You pulled down your tank top, making Lita gasp. "Well, I'm wet and ready." But you found yourself restrained by the seatbelt. You struggled to get free, too inebriated to understand how to unlock yourself. Then you went into another laughing fit. You really didn't care since you'd get to have even more fun. Unfortunately, you had no idea the horror awaiting you when Lita turned off State Route 1 and drove into the backwoods of Strickfield. "What made you eat that shitty tobacco?" Lita asked. That just made you laugh even more. This time Lita waited until you finished laughing. Then you smiled devilishly. "Want to see me do more crazy shit? I will, you know." Soon the car stopped at a lake. You looked out the window. "Wow, look at all those pretty colors coming out of the water." Before you knew it, you were being pulled out of the car. You laughed when Lita stared right at you. "Jesus, you crazy bitch, your tits are still out," Lita snapped. You smiled, then giggled. "You brought me out here to fuck, right? So come on, let's get it on." You staggered towards Lita. You weren't playing with a full deck, but you were ready to have sex with another girl, for the first time ever. Lita smiled as she seemed to come into you for a kiss. Then, you barely felt the knife blade penetrating your side. "Oh," you utter quietly. "Nobody fucks my guy and gets away with it, babe," Lita said with scorn. "I've killed others for far less." Lita keeps slicing and stabbing you as you stagger back until you fall into the water. Lita comes in after you. The two of you both go underwater. When you come back up, you struggle. When she forced you on your back, she drove the entire blade of her knife in between your breasts, lodging it deep into your heart. She left it in your chest as she dragged you out into the lake further and forced you below the water. It felt so unbelievably warm as Lita held you under. You reached up and grabbed her hair to fight for your life. Unfortunately, You lost this catfight when you died. Earlier tonight, you opened your eyes and felt yourself on the bottom of that murky lake. You weren't quite sure how long you'd been underwater, but it was long enough to no longer be high. You moved along the lake floor until you emerged from the water and back on dry land. It was cold outside for fall, but it didn't seem to matter to you. Your purple hair lost its spikes and now flowed freely. Then you felt something in your chest and looked down to see the knife handle. You remembered Lita Hallaway stabbing you repeatedly. Just the same, you shouldn't have been alive with a knife buried deep in your heart. You staggered and stumbled until you fell to your knees. That was when the headlights suddenly washed over you. Then you heard the driver's side door open. "What the? I thought Lita said she killed you." You see the guy and remember him from Dolan's group. You ate his dipping tobacco. As you struggled to stand up, you felt incredible stomach pains and groaned. "You're supposed to be... Oh shit!" The guy finally saw the knife sticking out in between your breasts, along with your many other injuries. Too bad you never got his name. But even now, he still couldn't keep his eyes off your chest. Just the same, he was in on your murder with Lita. So, he had to pay. You roared and lunged at him. He cried out as you took him down in front of the car. As you both struggled, you found you were much stronger. "Get off me, you crazy bitch!" the guy squealed. His last words before you dug your nails into his throat and tore it out. He never even got to scream. Not that it would have mattered, because in the backwoods of Strickfield, no one will hear you scream. You found that eating this boy quickly relieved your stomach pains. Also, he was just delicious. You kept eating until you ate him right down to the bones. You knew you simply must have more of that delicious meat. You knew in your undead mind who killed you. It was time to get some more meat and revenge. The guy's car was still running, but you've never actually driven one. When you tried, it proved to be pointless once you drove smack into a tree and killed the car. Leaving the wrecked vehicle behind, you walked out to State Route 1. Even undead and cut up, your curves and feminine charms still got you a ride from a trucker back into Strickfield. Soon you gave the truck driver a whole new meaning to Meals on Wheels after he attempted to pull that knife out of your chest. After you finished your second course, you knew exactly who was next. Lita Hallaway was going to make a most excellent dessert. You didn't know how long you'd been in that lake, but you were sure it had something to do with you being undead and craving human flesh. Fortunately, your brain worked just fine, since you remembered hearing Lita telling her girls around Strickfield High that she and Dolan liked going to his uncle's junkyard at night to be alone. And you decided that was where you were going. You made it to the Strickfield junkyard. You smiled your beautiful smile when you saw Lita's flashy sports car parked outside the office. However, You had no idea of the surprise that awaited you upon barging in. You gasped when you saw Dolan lying on his back on the desk. Lita had him in a compromising position as she was eating his vital organs out of his now open chest. You becoming a flesh-eating zombie was one thing, but Lita, you pointed at her. You killed me out in those woods. Then you began another laughing fit as you pulled your cleavage aside to reveal the knife that was still buried deep in your heart. Oh, yes, yes, you did, and I'll be sure to bury this knife in your heart before I eat it. Dolan's blood dripped down from Lita's mouth. We killed each other, bitch. After I stabbed you, you held onto my hair and dragged me underwater with you at that lake. But I came back to life before you. She laughed a little. Guess there was something in the water, huh? And people at school say I'm a crazy bitch, you groaned. But you still murdered me. I had to, Lita said. You were fucking Dolan behind my back. Looks like I made you both pay, huh? She gives you a pouty look. But now you're like me. You're not dead. But I can fix that. Lita got off Dolan's body and produced a pump-action shotgun from underneath the desk. Then she shot you in the side, making you tumble hard to the floor. If I can't have Dolan, neither can you, Lita muttered. And I'll kill you a second time. No way I'm sharing all this delicious meat with you. Lita blasted you again and again, but you only staggered. When you heard the loud click, you knew she was out of ammo. And what a time for another one of your laughing fits to kick in. But at least you scared the hell out of her. Unfortunately, you could never control your laughing fits. That was what happened when you took the kind of heavy drugs you were getting high on for the last few years. Your latest laughing fit allowed Lita to hit you with a club, again and again. When she cracked you hard enough on the head, you finally stopped laughing and fell unconscious. Present. You wake up to find yourself secured to the top of an old beater and the flat, smooth surface that is a car crusher lowering you down. Just die, you bitch! Lita Hallaway yells. You don't have much time before you become the aforementioned permanent part of a car cube. Then you start laughing again, especially when you feel that knife still buried between your breasts. You can easily reach it. When you pull on the handle, it's stuck tight. You laugh at knowing Lita really hated you enough to leave the knife lodged in your heart. After one really good pull, the knife is in your hand. To your surprise, you're not bleeding much. You use the knife to cut the zip ties binding your wrists, then your ankles. Still holding the knife, you escape just as the car crusher nearly reaches the beater. You sneer and go after Lita. She comes at you and smashes you with the club she used earlier. She got you once when you had a laughing fit, but you're not laughing this time. After knocking the club out of her hand, the two of you have another catfight, one people would have been talking about at Strickfield High. You both punch and kick each other. At times you even grab each other's hair and rub faces in the dirt. But Lita again gets the upper hand when she retrieves the club and clocks you good. You fall on your back in a daze. Dolan took one look at your fucking rack and went after you behind my back, Lita growls. With guys, why does it always gotta be about tits all the time? It doesn't take you long to regain your senses. You sit up and then have another laughing fit. Oh, is Lita ever angry? Why do you laugh so much? She demands. What's so goddamn funny? Lita gets her answer when she's grabbed from behind. You stand and go to her. Oh, the look on her face when she sees her ex-boyfriend is just like you both now, telling you need to always finish your meals. But today, you don't mind in the least. Lita groans as Dolan turns her head sharply. Dolan, no! She cries when her neck breaks. Between you and Dolan, you both gang up on Lita and tear and break her apart until there's nothing left of her but a pile of body parts. Now it's just the two of you, and you're both zombies. Will you and Dolan have a fight now? I really missed you, babe, he gushes, clearly in love with you. And your smile is the most radiant Dolan has ever seen. Then he pulls you into his arms and kisses you hungrily. When you come apart, he caresses your cheek. If I'd have known what Lita was going to do. You peck his lips. You didn't. And it's just fine. We're different people now. You both turn to see Lita's decapitated head looking disgustingly at you two. Just tell me why you cheated on me, Dolan. It was this bitch's rack, wasn't it? No, Lita. You were just way too clingy, Dolan said. I saw how free Meredith was and I wanted to be free with her. Now we just have to get rid of you. Aw, come on, Lita protests. Don't do this. At least take me with you and put me back together. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I'll change, I promise. Please? You both look at each other and consider it. Then you tell Lita, since you brought us together, I guess it's only right. You find a big sack to load Lita's undead body parts in. Of course, Lita has to prove to you and Dolan that she can be trusted. But there should be plenty of time for that, now that none of you have to go back to Strickfield High, ever again. For you three, this will likely not be the end. Well, my spookies, that was a love triangle with a body count, a car crusher, and enough undead relationship drama to make you seriously reconsider ever dating anyone from Strickfield High, and not just because of their ages. I mean, most breakups end with crying, ice cream, maybe a strongly worded text message. This one ended with murder, lake zombies, junkyard violence, and the beautiful discovery that sometimes the couple that eats together stays together, or at least keeps enough of the ex around in a sack to see how things go. But next week, my spookies, we have something very special as WeeklySpooky releases its 400th episode. 400 monsters, maniacs, ghosts, killers, curses, creatures, and so much more. And for that milestone, we have something bigger. Next week's episode is called Final Broadcast and takes us inside a late-night radio show called Lost in the Void. The phones are open, and the night is clear, and the callers, well, they're not what they seem. So make sure you're subscribed and tune in right here next week. And speaking of, we wouldn't make it to 400 episodes if it wasn't for our supporters at weeklyspooky.com/join. and especially our podcast boosters like Kate and Lulu, Johnny Nix, Jessica Fuller, Mike Ischui, Jenny Green, Amber Hansford, Karen Weemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. Thank you guys, and if you want to hear your name at the end of the show and know that you're helping us bring you more spooky on the weekly, head to weeklyspooky.com/join and sign up for as little as $1 a month. That's weeklyspooky.com/join. But now it's time for me to get back to work because next week's show is a doozy and requires a hell of a lot of work. So for my executive producers Rob Fields and Bobbletopia.com, my producer Dan Wilder, and my creepy composer Ray Mattis, I'll talk at you next time.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to find your way back next week. But for now, you are safe. Trust me.